In everyone's heart, they begin to yearn for electronic games, mobile phones, and TV dramas, but yearning is useless because everyone understands that even if a TV is set in front of them now, it will lose its freshness 3 years later. People are restless, so this is reality. After half a month of work stoppage, some people are hoping to resume work. After dinner, Yu Wen and his companions returned with news. According to them, the police station has been busy for a long time now, but they are reporting cases to those who died on the street, but no one is paying attention. I went to the bank once, but now everyone can only apply for one possible coin, and the procedures are very complex and the review is very strict. Anyone with any bad credit record cannot win. The leader in the queue surrounded the area for hundreds of meters, making it impossible for even the typhoon to blow in. Don't talk about them anymore. Sister Wu and my mother were equally relieved to learn about the power outage area. Compared to one's own guesses, it would feel much safer and more reliable to obtain accurate information from relevant personnel. As long as there is room for improvement, there is nothing to be afraid of. Although the typhoon blew strangely this time, solar storms have all appeared. What's so strange about typhoons? Due to the power outage and lack of entertainment activities, the neighbors in the neighborhood have resumed good daily routines. Most of the time, there is no sound on the street except for one sound. All the occasional screams and screams are particularly harsh in this white city. Usually no one answers, only hearing various versions of rumors from various people. The next day, according to the neighbors in the neighborhood, several children and elderly people have a fever nearby. Because the hospital clinic does not accept people and does not open, some people directly smashed open the rolling shutter doors of the health station. During the process of two groups of people fighting, the child was healed on the spot, and it is said that the escalation of the blood disease led to the 3 people being killed on the spot. Later, the health station was robbed, and the drugs inside were suddenly empty. The bodies of the 2 people at the health station are still horizontal inside. It is said that their daughter and grandson happened to be out of town and were stranded by a power outage in the parking lot. When the father heard the bad news, their bodies had already rotted to the core. When I was eating, I was lying on my desk and writing a novel on scratch paper. I quietly looked over my head to see the 20th of the heavy rainstorm blackout on October 11, 2023. Last night, people seemed to say Loboboba. Does the goddess also want to solve physiological problems? This is really an awkward and realistic thing. After eating, my sister instinctively covered her diary when she heard my voice. Today's meal is very rich, with white rice paired with rice tofu and smoked ham. After eating, I lay in the warm blanket and felt for the sharp knife, which reflected a silver cold light in the pitch-black room. I gently touched it with my fingertips. The cold touched me, then touched it, and then tried to lick it with my tongue. There was no smell. At the beginning of the day, there were endless storms, and I felt that there was a sea leaping down in the sky. I don't know where all that water comes from. The last time I received relief food, 8 days ago, the rescue personnel on the food said that when the lights turned red, citizens could use their ID cards to receive a second copy. After 3 days of distributing relief rations, the rescue team disappeared, playing the symbol of light and hope, forever disappearing into this endless darkness. And the sudden disappearance of the green truck means that the authorities are no longer able to control this disaster, or that the subsequent supply cannot keep up, or that there has been a major error in a certain link. An invisible sense of conspiracy rose from my heart. In theory, since the European solar storm last year, it is impossible for various countries to prioritize and prepare for solar storms without making predictions, and the administration of solar storms seems to be a fleeting matter. Assuming the official prediction is made, why not inform the public in advance to be prepared for prevention? I'm not a professional and cannot determine which one is more likely, but there must be something abnormal about this solar storm. Perhaps I should do more preparation. The servant came, and I quickly withdrew my feet, and made a gesture of saving the person. Then, with a strong force, I lifted John Ran out of the water. When he was glad that he was still alive, he realized that his father and neighbor Yueshifan were standing around. John knew he could still be alive, but had failed. What these people had given him, otherwise I would definitely take action against him. He secretly glanced at me, thinking about how to avenge him, but I suddenly looked over as if I had already noticed it, causing John Run to tremble and almost fall into the river. Just now, the huge typhoon blew me and Weiqi apart. Fortunately, everyone was safe and sound. Unfortunately, someone else blew an iron bottle and wiped out the head of the couple walking in front. The blood instantly turned red in the muddy flood on the ground, and the newly relaxed body sank into the valley again. Almost every corner of the street was covered in a corpse, and previously any serious car accident would have been discussed for a long time, but now the deeds are casually scattered on the street. Has this city become a human purgatory? This person was about to leave when he suddenly heard the woman's very fierce howl. The lunar master moved quickly, and before anyone else could react, he had already rushed out. Lao Wang just wanted to leave, so he had to stamp his feet and follow him. Wei Jie and I stood in the distance, staring coldly at Zhang Rui. Zhang Rui was afraid, so I took another shot at him, and ran away in a blink of an eye. When we returned home, a few beautiful women gathered in front of the convenience store. It was Xiu Zhao, who had received relief rations with us this morning, and the girls he accompanied. In the morning, he went out with so many beautiful women in one breath, which attracted many envious and jealous glances. When we arrived, 5 people happily left with a pile of ice cream. After they left, Auntie Xiuping saw us coming back with. We quickly pulled Wei in, and when we got home, I quickly changed into clean clothes, drank a cold powder, and took a hot bath. I felt the cold all over me, liberated from the hot water. Before taking a breath of relief, it has been raining for half a month since the power outage, and the room has tasted so wet that it is almost impossible to live in. Even the bedboards and edges have grown out. In this extremely humid situation, the body has become very heavy, with a feeling of sinking water. I don't know when the rain will stop. Today, when I went out to collect food, I forgot to ask coastal cities about cold. It's been raining for so long. Why is this rain so strange? Can solar storms still affect rain? I always feel like there's something wrong, but I can't see it. After taking a shower, my mother has already prepared the meal. As it has been dark and I don't know the exact time, I don't know if it is lunch or dinner. Anyway, when everyone is hungry, they cook. We usually only cook meals twice a day. The first dish is to cook a large pot of rice in a pressure cooker, with a triangular frame inside. Then, wrap some salted rapeseed, fish restaurant noodles, or noodles soaked in cold water in tin foil, and steam and grill them on the frame. After the rice is cooked, the dishes are taken out together, and the taste is particularly good. The second meal is wrapped with cold rice, wrapped with tin foil, and heated in hot water. The tin foil is cleaner, and the water can be drunk. If you don't drink it, you can also take a bath. Our family now has sufficient supplies, but only instant noodles, rice, and pickled vegetables can be eaten. So, there is a feeling that although there are many things to eat, there is nothing to eat. It feels like bread is no longer a snack, but a house. Although my sister is greedy, she cannot eat and play like she did at the beginning. His daily activities at home now include not only staring at boiling water and sighing in a daze, but also using draft paper and seemingly writing a power outage diary. At first, the power outage led to a holiday, and he was very excited. He played cards and go bang with Weiqi every day, and the neighbors below were also excited. They gathered together every day to have fun and gossip, but less than a week after the power outage, these people lost interest and were filled with boredom and anxiety. 2 days have passed, and old one of the classical Chinese property management is flawed. I have water. I connected the water pipe in the cafeteria to the water purifier, and there is plenty of water, but you need to exchange it for food. After Lao Wang finished speaking, someone immediately retorted that the supermarket was not closed yet. Why should we go to your place to exchange water? Do you have the money to go shopping in the supermarket now? As soon as the man finished speaking, he was scolded by Lao Wang and left, speechless. If it weren't for the phone being unusable, wouldn't I be able to withdraw even a few hundred yuan? The crowd suddenly shouted, "Don't you know? It is obvious that you can apply for token purchases at the bank. After the solar storm, all the internal equipment of the bank was damaged. In order to temporarily maintain social stability, a set of token purchases was specially discovered. Each ID card means to go to the bank to collect tokens worth 100 yuan and consume them at a designated supermarket. After the disaster passed, another bank redeemed tokens from supermarkets. I have to say that the experts in the bank are not eating for nothing. In this way, the society will not lose control in a short time. The so-called relief amounted just a bag of biscuits, a bottle of balcony, and a bottle of mineral water. After receiving the relief food, I went back with me. Because we got the information about the blackout, everyone was relaxed when we went back. Some people even talked and laughed all the way, and things were going well. It seems that this power outage will return to normal within 2 months, just like last year's European power outage. Although there will be some sacrifices and deaths, most of them can survive. A few dogs went to the nearby bank to apply for purchasing coins. And rescue workers have said that the power outage will last for at least 2 months, and hundreds of extra cash at home is always insurance. When Weiqi and I walked through a crossing, a gust of strong wind suddenly blew out, instantly lifting us up. Before losing the final salute, I grabbed Walkie's clothes and both of them were swept by the wind, flying horizontally along the ground. For a moment, I couldn't see anything except for the swirling sky and earth. Occasionally, I was greeted by strange screams passing by, waiting for the gust of wind to pass. We were blown to another street, where dirty yellow water flowed in the middle, at least 10 centimeters deep, and the street had completely turned into a river. In the distance, Zhang Rui, the son of Lao Wang, was grabbing a street lamp pole close to the intersection of the large river. The rapid river was very shallow, and it made it difficult for me to stand. If I were not careful, I would be washed into the large river, not to mention standing up. Finally, I was washed into nowhere, not knowing where I was. With either hand, I grabbed the trash can, and with the other hand, I grasped the danger. I carefully moved to the edge of the water flow, and once I stabilized my position, there was no longer any danger. However, Zhang Rui did not have that kind of luck anymore. He was located close to the dirty door and bluntly said that as long as he let go a little, people would be instantly washed away. In order to resist this huge insect, his face was twisted and turned white. The wind was strong and the rain was heavy. I approached Zhang Rui along the corner and saw him desperately trying to save himself. Suddenly, a trace rose in my heart. This guy used to tease my sister a lot, and keeping him alive would be a disaster sooner or later. I lifted one foot and stepped on Zhang Rui's wet hand. He rubbed hard, and Zhang Rang was already scared silly at the moment. What are you doing? You are guilty of murder. I didn't speak, my gaze fixed on Zhang Rui, stepping even harder. When she looked at me, the strong wind swept up first, almost tipping him to the ground. After closing the window, my sister was so happy that she could help her spine, which means the street has been cleaned up, and it seems that traffic has also resumed. Upon hearing this, my expression was so solemn that it was uncertain. If the traffic resumed, the authorities would pick up the people as soon as possible, rather than just sending in some supplies. At least it indicated that the authorities have been working hard. If this continues, we won't be trapped for as long as 6 months. When I arrived downstairs, the streets were already crowded with people, all attracted by the sound of horns. The neighbors' voices even drowned out the sound of rain. The official has sent out supplies. Hurry up and collect them. I have been starving to death these past few days, and finally I have supplies. After feeding at the convenience store on the first floor, we are ready to go down together to inquire about the current situation. Just as I left, I heard the voice of Chen Bei from the other side. Although this woman is beautiful, her speech is usually extremely sharp. We have hardly had any contact with her. Wei Jie, can you go down to seek help? Can you help me with my spying? Before I could agree, Chen Bei had already taken out her ID cards. Upon hearing this, I immediately turned my back. Who knows what relief Liang was giving? The entire street has been flooded, and the typhoon is so strong. If the government sent it, how could we possibly carry so much? I didn't expect Chen Beiwei's words to go even further next. Aren't they surreal for you? These few grains of rice cannot be carried, posing a threat to our thin skin. We are sorry to retaliate. So we all turned our faces to one side and pretended that Yashen had too much rice. He bowed out him so angry that I stomped my feet. You guys are not interesting enough. As a girl, I don't even have a raincoat. How can I go out in this weather? Although we didn't talk to him anymore, the passing typhoon couldn't help but refuse to walk out of the street. The typhoon was so strong that it could almost blow people away. As more and more people came out, many familiar people naturally gathered together. Fortunately, the distribution location was not far away, and by the time we arrived, it was already a sea of people. When queuing, someone asked the person who was distributing relief rations about the disaster situation, as he was holding a horn in his hand. In fact, we could hear clearly from behind. The original solar storm was bigger than that in Europe last year, and the scope of power outages was much larger. At present, 9 provinces across the country have experienced rainstorm power outages, and the remaining provinces without power outages are supporting the affected provinces at all costs. As we are a coastal city, according to the current situation, the best outcome will take 2 months to recover. In the following days, rescue supplies will be distributed every day, and rescue workers are constantly holding horns to call on those who have food at home to give up opportunities to those who have run out of food. There are 2 types of lights in the relief carriage, red and white. White represents the normal receipt of primary supplies, while red represents the possibility of receiving secondary supplies. As time went on, more and more people were receiving goods on the square. The crowd swayed from side to side in the store. Neighbors gathered to discuss life after the disaster. Do you still have food at home? It is long gone. We haven't slept or had electricity. We're hungry. On the 7th day of the end, time no longer exists. After the power failure, everyone automatically ignored the existence of time. When mobile phones were popularized, few people would wear mechanical watches. People had no time to live in the morning and evening. There was only a rainstorm that would never stop in the gloomy sky. The saddest thing is still for women. Without hot water to wash their hair and take a shower, they can still tolerate physical tasks. But during the physiological period, they become moldy. After washing their underwear, they will become moldy the next day and cannot wear them at all. I heard from my neighbor that there was a child next door who had a bad cold, causing my father to take a risk and buy medicine, but it didn't work. Eventually, the whole family risked their lives and sent them to the hospital. However, there are too many deaths in the hospital now, with corpses everywhere and no one paying attention to them. In the end, the child died in the nearby arms. What is even more embarrassing is that the city's sewer system has been completely paralyzed due to flooding, and the entire city has become foul-smelling. Toilets have long been unusable, and everyone can only choose to solve it in the wild. Once people have leisure, they will become very gossipy. I used to refuse gossip, but now it sounds like the truth. Previously, I never cared about the family situation of my neighbors. In the past few days, my mother has fully explained it to me. However, when people are free, they become irritable. Gradually, The neighbors around me have finished their food. Vijay told me that every day, people bring various things to the convenience store to exchange for food. I advised Aunt Xiaoping to close the convenience store and stop selling it. I always feel like this disaster but it will last for a long time. But he never stops. He actually hides the rice noodles from the convenience store, which can be endured without drinking hot water, but few people can persist in not eating hot food for more than 10 days. The tenant downstairs offered 20 yuan for a cup of hot water at Vicky's house. As time passed, all the cash in people's hands would be spent, and by then, there would be no money to buy food. What will the whole city look like if the continuous rainstorm leads to insufficient police force and traffic paralysis? On the 12th day, when I was sleeping, I was suddenly awakened by a strong glare of light. I instinctively thought it was an incoming call. I hurriedly called my sisters and ran to the window to look outside. Looking at the source of the light, my heart suddenly lost. It was not an incoming call, but a moving light column appeared in the rainstorm. I suddenly woke up with a start. This should have been sent by the government to convey information to the people. When I was about to go over and watch, my mother stopped me. What if it was the ultrasound generator from which company that caused it? The less we go out now, the safer it will be. However, my mother's obstruction prevented me from putting on my raincoat and carrying my backpack. Don't worry, Mom, I asked Vijay to go with me. If it's the supermarket, then I'll buy some more supplies back. My sister also wanted to go with me, but I stopped her. At this time, we need to reduce the wear and tear of clothes. While we were arguing, a sudden horn sounded in the ad area, requesting residents to present their ID cards to receive relief food. The armed police quickly ran to the window and opened it, hoping to hear more clearly. At the moment of opening the window, Dr.